And welcome back to Littles by Lira. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and let's get into the project. To start, you're going to need some of these little jack-o'-lantern laser cut wood cutouts from the Dollar Tree and some Dollar Tree spackling. Since we're going to make the sign and the jack-o'-lanterns are going to be attached, we don't need those little tiny holes at the top. So just go ahead and smear a little bit of this spackling into each of the holes. And once you get that done, make sure to clear off any of the extra that may have squished over the edge. Real quick, it's an allergy day, surprise, surprise. So if you hear sniffling, I apologize. It is what it is. Go ahead and set those off to the side to dry. And then you're going to need 2 packs, but only 4 of the 5-gallon stir sticks, and you're going to want to cut them off just where the little indent starts. I used a Mitre box and I cut them while they were still in the packaging to keep them from sliding around and do it all at the same time. Once those are cut, grab a couple of the long Dollar Tree signs. I like the scarecrow ones because they seem to be a little thicker than any of the other signs. Not necessarily wider, just thicker. I take one of the little spatulas from the Dollar Tree and pry off the little welcome and happy fall sign from them and flip them over. Taking the paint stir stick that's been cut, I measure the length of the stir stick against the board, and I take my box cutter and just score until I'm able to get the part that I cut off to snap off. Now, here you're going to see I take some Dollar Tree rollers. I peel off the plastic number strips, super easy to do, and hey, you can save them if you've got a crafting table that needs some measurements built in. You can just adhere it to your crafting table. And once that's done, I am going to just use these to make a brace to adhere the signs together so it's one long piece. Now, if I had thought, further ahead than 15 seconds, I would have adhered these rollers to the painted side, the decorative side of the sign, and I didn't. You can flip these over and put attach them, where the decoration is. Not on the brown part because, that's the clear, empty space that, you're going to want to paint on. However, happy accidents. You'll see here how I adjust for that. These rollers aren't long enough to cover the entirety of the split, so I just took my miter shears and cut down the second roller. You can use popsicle sticks or the gallon paint sticks if you want to put these together. I just can't seem to find my gallon paint sticks right now. I'm in the midst of moving my craft room and everything is a little bit jumbled. Probably why I didn't think far enough ahead. Once that's done, I flipped it over and any extra paper that was on there, I just peeled it off and gave it a quick sanding. Then taking some white Waverly chalk paint, I gave what is now the front of the sign a coat. It's not super heavy. You can still see the paint through it. However, as I said before, we will fix that. Once that was done, it had been enough time for my spackling to dry, so I took a Dollar Tree sanding sponge and just sanded down the fronts of the jack-o'-lantern cutouts. Taking some Waverly paint in the color of pumpkin, I chose 7 pumpkins. I gave all 7 of them a nice coat. Now, here's where we fix the little boo-boo. Taking some FolkArt Crackle medium, I gave the front of the sign a nice thick coat of the Crackle medium, making sure that it's even and covers everything. Allow that to dry. Mine took about an hour and a half. Then I took some truffle chalk paint, also by Waverly, and added it to water, and using a small paintbrush, I took each of the little pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns and I edged them out around the eyes, the little cuts in the corners, which I guess are supposed to represent highlights. And I also painted the stems of the pumpkins. When I got all of that done, I just made a little curving line to, represent the ribs of the pumpkin. Does anybody know what the bumps on a pumpkin are? I've heard so many different names for it: sections, segments, ribs, bumps. If you know, drop me a line in the comments, because I'm even having this discussion with my husband and he knows everything but doesn't know this. Before I play with the Crackle side of the sign, I flip it over and just get 2 more of those Dollar Tree rollers and adhere one on either side of the board. This will just make it so that when I'm painting on it, it's not putting undue pressure on the join at the seam. It'll make it, flat, not have a bump just going down the middle. I only used hot glue, but you can use wood glue to adhere that to the sign. I did it obviously on both sides. Real quick, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Your time is valuable. That's why I'm trying to keep this short and little tutorial for you. Thank you for being here. I was having a little trouble with my hot glue gun. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe I left it on too long and my glue got too squishy. But I got it to work eventually. So, put a nice thick layer of hot glue on there and flip the roller over, and now my front of the sign is ready to work on. As I said, it took about an hour and a half for the Crackle medium to completely dry. No tackiness at all on the front of the sign. I took some apple barrel black acrylic paint, and you're going to just want to go over it in like one brush stroke. Don't keep going over what you've already painted. Try to load your brush up pretty well before each stroke. But you'll see it's like magic. It begins to crackle right before your very eyes. Now, if only it would give me $1 million, that'd be great magic. So when that was done and dry, I took those paint stir sticks and measured it along the board and cut it down with my Mitre saw. Obviously, the 2 of the paint sticks are too long. So I just laid the board out, put the 5-gallon paint sticks on either side, the longest sides. Then I took my other 2 paint sticks and put them on the top and the bottom and just made it so that it would make a square. Then I took some Waverly Antique Wax and a baby wipe and stained front, sides, back, and then the tops and bottoms of the stir sticks, and set them aside and allowed them to dry. I was intelligent enough to remember that I wanted the numbers to be at the back of the sign so that, the wood would just be there in the front and, not look like paint stir sticks when all was said and done. Then I have this paint marker. I was not super thrilled with it, but, for what I was using it for, it worked. I just went through and began writing out in the paint marker, Happy Halloween. I like my handwriting. I know it's not, super duper amazing or anything, but, it's for a Halloween sign, kind of yucky handwriting kind of works, I think. But you see here, this is why I do not like that paint marker. That's why I'm not telling you where to get it. Because you got to keep going back in and punching it down, and the paint doesn't cover very well. That's what you get for buying it at a hardware store. Next time I think I'll try, an actual art store, but I need to use this paint up first. After I got my basic outline done, I took a thin paintbrush and with more Waverly White chalk paint, I went over my lettering to darken it up, brighten it up because it's white. So yeah, brighten it up that way. Then I took my 7 little pumpkins, because there are 7 of us in our family, and glued them in a way that is pleasing to my eyes under Happy Halloween. You can take your family names and put them under each of the jack-o'-lanterns too. I think that would be really cute. Then, taking my super duper bow and tassel making jig, I made 4 little twine bows. Twine is from the Dollar Tree, to put on my female jack-o'-lantern heads. There's 4 girls and 3 boys. I think the girls deserve some ribbons because it's cute and I like it, and that's what I wanted to do. And you see, super easy twine bow, so pretty. Cut off that extra little tail, and then it's just the 2 tails from where I tied it, and I think it looks really cute. I'm really loving this bow maker, guys. You gotta make one. If I can ever figure out the iCards, I will link it to this video. Then, real quick, to burn off the fuzzies, I took a lighter and just ran it over the top, and it burned down all the fuzzies. When I went to put the bows on the jack-o'-lanterns, I realized, well, would they be Jill-o'-lanterns because they're girls? Ha ha ha. Anyway, I cut the tails off because it was going down too far, and I think the little tiny bow just, it's cuter that way. Making sure that the knotted part of the twine is to the back, a little bit of hot glue, and adhered each of the 4 bows to my Jill-o'-lanterns. Like so. Then, grabbing those now dry, paint stir sticks, I'm going to adhere them, the sides and then the shorter top and bottom on top. Just use some hot glue. This did not turn out super stable. I would recommend maybe using some some wood glue and clamps, but for the sake of timing for this video, it worked, and it's been hanging on my wall overnight and it's still alive, so hey, there is that. And I just made sure it was square and went around and put my sign in. If you cut it properly, the sign should just drop right in. And then taking some hot glue, I just attached the sign to the frame all the way around. Then, since I want this to be a wall hanging sign, I took another piece of twine over on the back and I cut off a length that I wanted for the sign, tied the ends into a little knot, put the twine across the back, put a little bit of hot glue, and then some masking tape over that. And that should keep my sign from dropping my twine from dropping the sign. I hope you enjoyed today's project. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.